däckverkstad.com. Däck och fälgar online direkt hem till din dörr eller närmaste verkstad. Time for a B-segment car, the Renault Clio. Been around for 30 years and approx 16 million sales. So a very popular car. So this is a little facelifted one from the previous version. They've redone the front of the car. That new emblem in the front is also integrated there. Stealthy color called Grey Rafale. It looks just good. There are 3 trim packs, Techno, Evolution, and then there is this Esprit Alpine. So you get this plaque here with the Alpine badge on, and you might think that, ooh, it's a bit sporty. Well, it really isn't. And that gives you a little different interior as well with the bolstered, more sporty seats, which are good. They look good. And you get a little flag on the dashboard and also some stitching on the steering wheel. Well, that's about it from Alpine. So the looks, they are just good. Handles here and, well, hidden door handles up here. Makes it look a bit more like a little coupe, but I don't know why they didn't put the handles here because it really doesn't disturb you that much. Maybe a bit cleaner look. But a small, decent little car, which is comfortable, efficient. But small cars are meant to be cheap. They should be easy to drive, take you from A to B, but also be able to take you for a bit longer journeys. And this one, it does. It got a bit more soft setting than its competitors like the Seat Ibiza or the Ford Fiesta. So it's got that French, you know, a bit more soft, comfy ride feeling. And I like that about it. Turn around here. Small cars are always rather easy to turn around. And in city, they become very, very convenient in that way. That's what you want. That's what you buy. And that's what you expect. Now let's start in B. So that's more regenerative drive. So in this one, you can force that electric drive a bit more by pushing the EV button here. 1.2 kilowatt hour battery and being able to drive about 80% around town and in town on pure electric. Well, that sounds really good. And in a small car like this, that weak battery, it manages it rather well, especially when you drive in this B, that regenerative one. It's not a one pedal drive, but it really regenerates quicker and harder and better. So that battery, it charges up in a rather quick pace. And what I think is fun in these type of cars is that becomes a little match, a little competition of how can you recharge it and how can you see that it always provides you with electricity from the battery and not letting that engine kick in. That means that you need to be a little gentle on your foot and not wanting to overtake or do some unnecessary accelerations. And that becomes like a driving pattern that is also more secure. Well, it's not fun, but you might find the fun in it when you know that, well, I've averaged a lot better than the claimed figures, because you can do that. And small cars should be cheap to run, and this is rather cheap to run. You can choose from a 90 horsepower 1.2 liter engine with a manual gearbox, or you could go for this full hybrid version, the Clio E-Tech 145, so 145 horsepower with a self-charging battery. So the consumption is about 4.2, 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers. And I think the electric engine works rather well as you step in. It's much easier to modulate a little hybrid car than a bigger one. So in this segment, it works rather well. And I think it's rather strong, that battery as well. But talking about cheap small cars, it's not that cheap. This one, almost fully loaded, is 333,900 Swedish crowns. And that might feel a bit too steep because when you look for a cheap, small car, well, I don't think you want to go up to that type of price range. But it's a car that you can live with for some time and it works really, really good. You can drive 80% of the time on electric battery if you drive around town. And town, well, that's where these cars are meant to be most of the time. And that smart multi-mode gearbox, which doesn't have any clutch, is very, very smooth. So it works very nice and it's very uncomplicated, everything. It's intuitive, it works very good, the technology is good. It's just a smart little car that you just like. And I just love driving around in this car, especially when you get into town where you should be. And that's where the efficiency also comes into play. And the performance, you know, it's decent, a little over 9 seconds, 0 to 100, and a top speed of 180 kilometers an hour. That works. And the ride in itself is very subtle. It's a very, very easy steering. It's almost like you don't feel it. It's extremely light. And by that, you don't get a very solid response from the front wheels. You can set it into sport, of course, and then it becomes a little more weighty, but even when you start pushing it and throwing it into a corner, you really don't know where the front wheels are pointing, but not exactly, to be more specific. But that doesn't really matter, because when you drive along and when you don't have any resistance, it just becomes even more comfortable. And don't you want that from a car? Of course you want that. This is not a car to really make you go bananas or feel crazy or get you excited in any way. Even though you can find excitement in a small car that is practical, easy to maneuver, and at the same time has a lot of what you really need. A kickdown, you know, it picks up speed a little. And then when you come to a lower pace, like in traffic or in town, then the engine shuts off and you're in pure electric. And here we can see that the battery has already recharged. So just by kicking it and playing around a little with it, recharges rather quickly. And that driving experience, together with this chassis that is a bit more on the subtle or comforty side, on some worse roads which are a bit torn up, it doesn't feel like it's getting thrashed in any way, and it absorbs every little unevenness in a much better way. Comes a speed bump. Yeah, you can feel that it hits a little. It's not air suspension, but it takes it rather good. It's not like you react like, oh, that hit me hard. I also think that you sit in a very good position. You can get rather low. You can get into a sporty position if you want, but you have a great view around. It's a very good place to be. So you have a great visibility when maneuvering around in tight spaces. Turn around here, which is an important thing when driving in town. Yeah. Quickly maneuvered, and I like that about a gearbox that is quickly accessed and easy to just push into D or R instead of gearboxes that might have buttons just to free up space. So the battery works very great in this one. It regenerates power back to it very quickly, and being able to drive 80% on pure electricity in town or around town maybe, and that is great because it reduces the consumption by 40%. And this alpine feeling that you get in here, well, it doesn't make it sportier anyway, more than you sit very good in the seats. But a small car is rather predictable. You know, you can push it until it says that it doesn't want to be pushed anymore, and it's very easy to straighten up again. The doors are a bit clunky as you open and shut them, but what do you expect? In here it's cozy. Well, there's no sunroof, so it's a little dark, but as you sit down in these seats, it feels like you're in a Clio RS version or something, because they are very sporty, very comfortable, and they're also very wide. Side bolsters also hold you really good in place, but they're also stuffed really good, and they look good to look at. I mean, look at this, very Alpine-like, and you got the Alpine A badge there. Tough headrests, nice. And that little French flag here on the side. And look at the seat belts. A little blue stripe here on the sides. Some holes here for that ventilation. So you always have a great grip. And I think this steering wheel looks really, really sporty. It could sit in any RS version. And you get the French flag colors here. White, blue, red stitching. That's cool. There are some cloth here, which is nice. You don't just get plastic here. A little flag here, the French flag, and it's lifted up here, so the gearbox is very easy to maneuver. And the adjustability, you know, passenger seat, driver seat, up, down. The steering wheel, you can set it in different heights, in depth, so you get into a good driving position. These big knobs with great displays in them are, you know, very intuitive, very simple to understand. The buttons on this layout here, heat for your seats, EV button, my sense, you get into these different settings. If you want to go sport, if you want to go eco, you can have e-save to save that battery, and my sense, and then you just adjust everything here. Set different tones of the LED lighting around. So, you know, a cozy little cabin, but you need that extra ambience light in here because it becomes rather dark, especially in the back seat. But design-wise, looks nice. You know, straight, good looking lines. It's not too cluttery in any way. There's a lot of buttons, but they're physical, and don't you like physical buttons? Also, the steering wheel, the buttons, they have great resistance, and the graphics, they look just nice. Okay, yeah. It's cramped as it is in small cars. I'm sitting behind myself, and I also put my seat in a bit forward position. When you drive a bit more actively, you usually do that. And I'm not that tall, 175 centimeters, but I got great head space here. And I can sit here. It's okay. Your knees are a bit bent, so because you can't really stretch them out. Doing longer journeys, well, that might feel a bit claustrophobic, and you might feel it itching a little in your legs when you can't really stretch them out. But for the small family with kids, this is just a good place to be. But a small car can be fun to just push a little harder because it's predictable. It doesn't happen that much, and you can't turn off the traction control or the ESP, so it's very secure. And so when it starts to slide, well, you know, you'll be caught by the safety net. Otherwise, it's very simple to just straighten up. But in this mini car segment, this is one of the best out there, no question about it. And together with this powertrain, it works really well in a small car like this. And I think that's why, you know, low weight, this battery can really maintain its strength, and it becomes a very efficient car. A car that has great technology, looks good, and that also rides rather well, even though it isn't the most sporty one, just like that extra crispy steering feel. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. But this self-charging hybrid technology is rather complex and efficient. It has two electric motors, that 1.2 kilowatt hour one that gets you going on pure electric, and then the other one that pushes on a bit more when you want to accelerate. And these two work really good all together. And when accelerating, that extra motor, it smoothens out the gear changes. And you can feel that under very hard acceleration. You can't really feel how it changes gears. So summarizing the car, well, semi-cheeky little car with French elegance that I like. I like how it looks, I like the interior, I like the comfort. It looks very classy with its graphics, and everything is well laid out here. But not a lot has happened from the last one. It's just a facelift with some extra tech and a little new exterior design. Do you want something that just called Clio, or could you settle with a Dacia? Because I think that Dacias that really went into the market being cheap, and that has set them as a popular cheap car, and that gives them an attitude as well, which I think that the price on this one really can compete with, even though it's got a little more tech and an extra pieces of it. And of course, they need to put that in this car to motivate the price.